Am 5. Mai lud 505 Games die Fachpresse zum Payday 2 Crimewave Edition Preview Hands-on Event nach München in das Werk 1 ein. Dort angekommen gab es einen herzlichen Empfang mit Snacks und Getränken. Des Weiteren war bereits der Ehrengast Almir Listo, Chief Producer von Payday 2 vor Ort und somit konnte das Event beginnen. Den Beginn machte eine kurze Präsentation von Almir, gefolgt von einer Fragerunde. Dann ging es endlich zur Sache und wir konnten die Payday 2 Crimewave Edition anspielen. Wie ihr hier sehen könnt, spricht die Grafik für sich und dass das Ganze in Anführungszeichen nur mit 30 FPS läuft, ist zumindest in meinen Augen nicht spürbar. Es ist zudem ja auch bekannt, dass die Entwickler von Payday 2 viel auf die Community hören und mehr Wert auf Spielspaß legen als auf Grafik. Und genau das zeigen sie in der Payday 2 Crimewave Edition. Außerdem habe ich in meinem Interview mit Almir, welches ihr gleich sehen werdet, eben genau dieses Gefühl bestätigt bekommen. Eben von Gamern für Gamer. Aber jetzt möchte ich euch nicht weiter auf die Folter spannen. Daher hier das Video und wenn ihr es bis zum Schluss durchhaltet, hat Almir Listo noch eine Nachricht für euch. Viel Spaß!
So, let's go. In a past interview you said that you would learn from other games like Battlefield's Hardline or GTA 5.
Yeah.
What does that mean exactly? Does this relate to the gameplay or to the mechanics of the game?
That's a good question. It relates to anything basically. I mean, we at Overkill and Starbies, we always play games all the time. Any free moment we have, we play games. Right now at home I'm playing Destiny, enjoying that thoroughly, and there are things they've done good and things they've done they could have done better. And these type of things, it's just like an artist enjoying someone else's art, or a musician being inspired by other people's music. That's how the world works. And why I mentioned those two games in particular at that point in time is that both of them are in the heist genre or have some kind of crime drama fantasy. And Payday 2 is all about the hardcore crime fantasy. And anything that we think they've done good, we'll keep that in mind and we'll see what we can do in the future.
What's the difference between the original Payday 2 for PC, Xbox 360, and Payday 2 Crimewave Edition for PS5?
I think the biggest difference is if you compare it to the last generation of the consoles, the Payday 2 for the Xbox 360 as well as PlayStation 3. The biggest difference is the leap that the game has made since then. And if you compare Payday 2 Crimewave Edition to the PC version, I would say it's how similar the experience is. Because on the PC edition, we've managed to cram everything we wanted to do. But on the past generation, seeing as those machines are a decade old, and weren't made really for the type of game that Payday is, where we constantly update the game post-launch. Payday 2 is basically, the Payday 2 Crimewave Edition is basically, the ultimate console version of Payday, where we've taken as much content as we possibly could for release and put it out there. And in order, to hit the deadlines, because when you do a game for consoles, you have to think about producing the disc, that takes time, producing the case, having the game go through certification at both Sony and Microsoft, and so on and so forth. And that thing those things take time, So what we did was that we needed a cutoff at update 50, and said this is what we'll put in, and we tested everything, made sure everything worked, and that's exactly what we're going to get to try out in mid-June when the game comes out.
Okay. The graphics better than Xbox 360.
It is, yeah.
Would there be a patch or something for PC?
No, I would say the PC and the Crimewave Edition look very similar in graphic. Yeah. So, but the 360 and the PS3 version definitely look different than what the Payday 2 Crimewave Edition does. The Crimewave Edition has much better texture quality and so on. 30 frames per second, 1080p resolution. So it's a much better experience overall. And of course, the most important thing from our perspective, the gameplay is much better. We really focused on the gameplay a lot as well.
Someday there are also problems with the controls in the beginning at Xbox 360. What's your meaning about now and how the Crimewave Edition is going?
You mean the controls or?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we actually have improved the control schematics for the next generation. So it's definitely going to play better now. Control standpoint as well. Yeah, so I would say, generally speaking, the Payday 2 Crimewave Edition does everything better than the previous generation did.
Would you like to include the Kinect or the touchpad for the PS4 controller?
Spontaneously, no, because Payday 2 at its core is a very hardcore first-person shooter experience. So we've focused on making it as good as possible in that aspect. However, if the community after the game's been released, talk, about, hey, wouldn't it be awesome if the game would use functionality from Kinect? We definitely look into what we could do to make that happen. But that's something we'd rather do post launch rather than something we introduce before the game is out.
Okay. I asked because of I have a Wii U at home, and I wait for the game who include the touchpad optimal.
Yeah. And we had an idea, if we were to, before we finalized which consoles we were going to make Payday 2 for, we had some thoughts, some ideas, how you could utilize the Wii U, in order to make a really cool, nice game. You could, for example, you could have the controller next to your face, and you could change the safe
and hear
it. Yes, so you wouldn't have to hear it.
Exactly.
And there is a lot of possibilities with the Wii U that I think, just like you think, are still to be explored. But sadly, we never took that route. Instead, focusing on the other consoles and the PC. Yeah.
Okay. A question often asked, I guess, but very important. What is the future of Payday 2 Crimewave Edition?
That's a very good question. And the future of Payday 2 Crimewave Edition is to get it out there first and foremost, so people can start playing it. And possibly doing some kind of patch if people experience something that they shouldn't experience, like some major bugs or anything like that. Hopefully, having us worked on Payday, for 4 years now, everything should work as it was intended to be. Going forward beyond that, the ambition is to get the updates out as soon as possible, because the PC version is one step ahead content-wise, and we'd love to get that content into the Crimewave Edition as soon as possible. So future updates, yeah.
What's the most fascinating thing about Payday 2 for you?
I think how quickly it's grown. It's a very new franchise. Payday the Heist was released in 2011. It's 4 years ago. It's grown to be a game with more than 9 million players worldwide. And Payday 2 has grown into a game that has more than 66 updates, which is amazing. We've during the lifetime of the game, we've worked with other great developers like Denoton Games, the developers of Hot Miami, and Tiny Build and Double Dutch Games, the developers of Speedrunners, among many others who we collaborate with. And the exciting thing is that the future, the best is yet to come. There is so much more stuff to come out of this great game, and there are so many more cool stuff that we want to show you guys. So make sure you jump into the game. Whenever you jump out because you played one heist too many, let it be for 4 months, get back in again, and you'll be like, holy shit, because we've added something new or whatever. Yeah.
I have some personal question for you. What's your hobbies? What do you in your free time?
That's a good question. I play games, yeah. I don't have that much free time, but when I do, I play Dota 2, I play CSGO, I play a lot of different games. Pillars of Eternity, Destiny, as I mentioned. I play old games as well. Replaying Fallout 2 right now, so various different things. I read books. Sorry.
No problem.
I read. I'm reading the third or fourth book of Game of Thrones right now. Some other books as well, some philosophy books. I listen a lot to podcasts. I love listening to Joe Rogan's podcast. I think that's very fun. Listen to music. Yeah, your average stuff. Yeah.
What kind of music?
Right now I'm listening to Ivan Torrent. Check that guy out on YouTube. Ivan Torrent. I also watch a lot of Twitch streams. Lyric, Summit 1G, Waffle, other dudes. Live stream stuff there. I also play ice hockey. So we have a football team at the work. Strawberry Suns, the Power Suns. And we also have an ice hockey team. Strawberries versus Overkill. So we play 3 times a week. I play as a goalie. I'm a goaltender.
Okay.
So it's good because it's a very good way to release a lot of frustration when you do some physical sports and all that stuff. And it's good for teamwork as well. It's really fun.
Okay. Do you have days when you are happy to not be at work?
Of course, I have days like that. They are few, but whenever I get a free day off, I make sure I take it easy, I relax, I do something I enjoy. Definitely.
What are your plans for the future? Where do you see yourself in 2 or 3 years?
I see myself continuing on the road, the path that we've laid out for ourselves, being an independent developer, continuing our focus on our own IPs, and when we do others' IPs, those collaborations are great. Right? For example, we're doing the Origins The Walking Dead game together with Robert Kirkman in Skybound. So that was the first IP that we took in after we had started working on our own IPs, because we just thought that the deal was too good to let go of. So we're making that game, and the mission is to make sure that game becomes as good as it possibly can be. Meanwhile, we focus on making sure that Game 2 continues to grow up, and continues to give joy and create something really cool and collaborations together with the other developers out there.
Do you have a dream project or a vision of the perfect project?
I would say that is Payday 2.
Good answer.
And I would also say it's The Walking Dead. And why would I say that? In Payday 2's case, it's our own IP. We have the cash flow to make sure we stay alive, and that we can continue making the decisions that we want to do together with the community.
Make it better all time.
Precisely. And 3, that we have a great partner with Final 5 Games, where we basically can make really cool stuff happen together. And let's not forget Valve and Steam, who we are really good friends with. We love their platform. We think it's a great platform for making games, and it works really well for us with that. And if you take Origins The Walking Dead, for example, why is that the perfect project? Because, again, it's an IP where the original holder of that IP, the developer of that IP, Robert Kirkman, is on the boat. So he's actually part of the development team working on this. We're going to make the game together with him. It's a game where we have the license, so we make sure that we own the creative control to do what we want. There is no one else who tells us what to do. We make the game that we want to play. And Robert understands that, and he wants us to do that. So it's a great partnership with Skybound there. And then, the IP itself. it's already established. When we made Payday the heist for the first map, no one knew who Dallas would chase or the other characters. But with The Walking Dead, everyone knows what it's about. And that's the great thing, because people will be more susceptible to wanting to try it out. And when they try it out, that's where we're hooking, right? With the great gameplay, you know, the survival horror co-op play, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a great experience.
Okay. That's it. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
All the best for the upcoming release.
Thank you. This is Almir Listo from Overkill. Don't just be a gamer, be a gentle gamer.